Hello, welcome to the 11th episode of DJ's Take. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen. If it is the very first time that you're listening, this podcast is all about entertaining you, educating you, and exciting you all at the same flipping time. So what that means is we're going to be talking about lots of different topics. Sometimes it might be sports or health, or religion, or philosophy, or history, or veganism, whatever. Any topic that I can sit down with someone, or a book, or whatever, and learn, and the audience can learn, I will be talking about. So sometimes I'll be bringing on guests that really know their stuff, and they can talk to me about it, and we can learn. And other times I'll be going over a book, or any source where I'm learning something new, and it's entertaining for you to listen. So yeah, let's jump straight into episode 11. If you listened to episode 10, you know that I love books, especially books that I can learn from. And in episode 10, I went over a book called Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. And that's one of my favorite books, and I recommend you reading it. And I also recommend you listen to episode 10, because episode 10 was my favorite to do, and the feedback's been really solid on that. So thank you so much if you listened to that. But again, I wanted to go over another one of my favorite books. And I really like this book because it breaks down what makes great people great. So I'm sure you can tell from the title, this is all about looking at what makes Oprah, Oprah, or Kobe, Kobe, or Obama, Obama, or Mother Teresa, Mother Teresa. I want to know what all these people have in common, and I want to know what makes them so excellent in their given field. And Tim Grover, the author, seems to have the secret sauce, even though there is no secret sauce. So Tim Grover was Michael Jordan's physical and mental coach. So again, arguably, he was with arguably the best basketball player on earth, or of all time. So he might know a thing or two about being excellent. On top of that, he worked with Kobe Bryant and Dwayne Wade. So he's worked with three of the best players of all time in the NBA. So he understands what it takes for people to be excellent players, or musicians, or athletes, or whatever it is. He knows how to be excellent. So at the beginning of the book, he breaks people down into these three categories. Now, these three categories are called coolers, closers, and cleaners, or great, good, great, and unstoppable. Now, me personally, I want to be unstoppable. I want to be a cleaner. Am I a cleaner? By no means am I a cleaner. I'm not good enough to be a cleaner, but that's where I want to be. That's the level that I want to achieve. So that's why I was so interested in this book. Now you're probably thinking, where do I lie? Where am I? And that's what I was thinking too. And as I read the book, I got a quick grasp of where I was. And that's the whole book. That's the point of the whole book, explaining what makes cleaners cleaners. So if we look quickly at a distinction between the three. So a cooler can handle a certain amount of pressure when things are going well, but when things get too intense, he kicks the problem over to someone else. So this is where Tim Grover reckons most people will lie. They lie in the camp where they can't actually take all the pressure because it's too difficult for them to compute, or it's too difficult for them to do. So when that happens, they go to the second category of people, and these are the closers. They can handle a lot of pressure, so they can still be pretty great in their own right. They'll get the job done if you put him in the right situation and tell him exactly what you need him to do. So these aren't the people who will be making the top decisions, but they're also the people that really can make great work. But I'm not trying to be someone that can make great work. I'm trying to be awesome. So I'm trying to be a cleaner. And then the last thing he says is cleaners make the competition study them. They don't care whom they're facing. They know they can handle anyone. That's where I want to be. So again, why is Oprah Oprah? Why is Mother Teresa Mother Teresa? I want to understand and get a better notion of what makes these great people great. So each chapter is dedicated to what makes these people cleaners. So let's just jump straight into it. So number one, when you're a cleaner, you keep pushing yourself harder when everyone else has had enough. This is the distinction he uses. A cooler gets everyone cranked up and emotional before the game. A closer gets himself cranked up and emotional before the game. A cleaner never gets cranked up or emotional. He stays cool and calm and saves it all for the game. I love that. So again, he's talking about what it takes to be great in your own field. So the cleaners do all the hardest work. So cleaners do the hardest things first, just to show that there's no task too big. They might not be happy about it. They don't ever love it, but they're always thinking about the destination, not the bumpy road that takes them there. Now, I think that's a really poignant point, because on the road to do anything great, the road's always going to be bumpy. You know, Tom Brady didn't become Tom Brady but by doing nothing. Same with Tiger Woods, same with Oprah. You know, I'm sure they had lots of hiccups, but what they don't care about is the hiccups. They care about the destination. So Grover goes on to say, they do whatever they have to because they know it's necessary, and you usually don't have to tell them twice. So they're doing it because they know they should. It's not about monetary gain. It's not about how much they're being paid. They're doing it for the love of the game. So I wonder if a cleaner would be a cleaner if you weren't doing something that you loved. That makes me question that. I wonder, because most people that are awesome in their field absolutely love what they're doing. So Grover goes on to say, bottom line, if you want success of any kind, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Every time you think you can't, you have to do it anyway. That last mile, the last set, the last 5 minutes on the clock, you have to play the last game of the season with the same intensity as you played the first. When your body is screaming and depleted and telling you, no way, asshole, you work hard and tell yourself, do it now. So how do I cultivate that habit? I think he answers it here where he says, I'm always thinking about new ways to see how I can push someone, shock the body, and rock the mental stamina. If you do what you always do over and over, you're always going to get the same result. So I think he's speaking about doing hard stuff to evolve as well. Not only doing it because the hard stuff is what you need to do, but you need to do the hard stuff to stay on top, to stay in the zone. So the example that comes to mind right off the bat is Rocky. Oh, and quickly, a friend of mine, she was speaking to me about episode 10, and she said she really enjoyed it, but she said there weren't enough examples of women. So I took that feedback on board. Thank you so much, Joelle. And I've got some more examples of awesome women that we can talk about whilst we're going through this book. So yeah. So the example that comes to mind with this example in this scenario is Rocky. So in, I think, Rocky 2, Rocky's super hungry, and he has just fought Apollo, I think, and he wins, and I think he's on top of the world, and he's like, I'm that guy, I'm the man. And then the next movie, he's fighting Clubber Lang, or you guys might know him as Mr. T. He's really hench, massive black dude. He kills everyone a fool. He's like, I pity the fool, that guy. And Rocky's training to fight him, but he's not really training. And because he's already become heavyweight champ, and all the women want him, and he's got all the money, he's got the big house and the cars and the fame, he doesn't train at all. And his Rocky's trainer, I think it's called as Mitch. I cannot remember. So bad that I can't remember this. He's like, Rock, you haven't trained hard enough. And it shows. He goes into that fight and he gets his butt kicked. It's like he almost dies. Like he gets destroyed by Clubber Lang the first time. So I think the whole point is that if you're not pushing your limits, then you're going to get left behind, because there's someone that's hungry that will be behind you on your coattails, trying to smash you in some way. So again, keep constantly trying to evolve. You know, we've seen lots of different apps. We've seen football teams. We've seen everything. We've seen Vine come and go in a split second. We've seen Leicester City Football Club win the Premier League and then not be able to continue that form. So I think the whole point is continue to evolve. So yeah, I think that's an awesome lesson right off the bat that I could definitely learn from. So yeah, that I really, really enjoyed that. And if you haven't watched Rocky, then please turn this podcast off and go listen to Rocky right now. That is you, Azra. That is you. How can you not watch Rocky? Anyways, the next chapter. So when you're a cleaner, you get into the zone, shut out everything else, and control the uncontrollable. Tim Grover says, always positive and upbeat, raising up the team and the fans and everyone else, showing that the cleaner has everything under control. If he ever felt anything, or if she ever knew that she felt negative, they would not show it. that is a cleaner. So basically what he's saying is that when things are going wrong, the cleaner still upholds their standard. The cleaner still maintains their level, not only in skill, but also lifting up other team members. Now, I love this point because it seems like the best players not only lead by example with how great they are, but they lead by example in terms of bringing the team up. So the example that comes to mind is that when I played rugby throughout my school years, I played it up until I got to uni. I was always in the top team, but to be honest with you, we're in the top team. I was either the weakest player or the second weakest player. I was never a great player. And in high pressure, high octane situations, it showed. And great players, they raised their game. They got even better. So I remember some matches where we should have lost, but 3 or 4 excellent players said, nah, not today. And they just went into cleaner mode and just really raised their game up. And they also were able to lift me up by saying, hey, that's rubbish, or hey, we can get through this. And I think that is definitely a trait that is of people that are really, really excellent at whatever they're doing. And another example that I thought was awesome was from this super badass woman, Ariana Huffington. So Ariana Huffington was the co-founder of the Huffington Post. Yeah, that huge media company that is like humongous. Yeah, she was the co-founder, badass woman. So Ariana Huffington's moved on since, but in her new company, she always talks about how she takes care of herself first, and that she understands that the way that we feel impacts the way that we work. So she's taken upon herself to make sure that her staff have physical therapy sessions, to make sure her staff try and get 8 hours of sleep every night. And by doing that, she is uplifting the whole team. She's really pushing what is possible for the team, because if she didn't do it, the team would deplete. So not only is she making the key decisions, she's also understanding her team and bringing them up. And I think that's just awesome to see. And we don't really see CEOs do that. So again, Ariana Huffington is just an ultimate badass. I don't know why we do not know who she is. I don't know why she's not in the mainstream media. So yeah. And she's Greek as well. I love Greek people. Shout out to one of my good friends, Dinos. Next chapter. When you're a cleaner, you know exactly who you are. And the breakdown he says is this: a caller thinks about what he's supposed to think about. A closer thinks, analyzes, and eventually he or she acts. A cleaner doesn't think at all. He or she just knows. So that, I think, is an awesome distinction. So he says a cleaner does no thinking, just the gut reaction that comes from being so ready, so prepared, so confident that there's nothing to think about. Your instincts become so finely tuned that you have a reflexive response that allows you to attack without thinking. So right off the bat, this only comes with years and 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 years of practice and fine tuning and becoming really excellent in your field anyway, and then using your gut to make decisions, not for you, but in accordance to being a student. So Oprah Winfrey actually talks about, she says, every right decision I've ever made has come from my gut, and every wrong decision I've ever made was a result of me not listening. So I think that's a really cool quote. And because Oprah became so excellent at what she did, I think that she was able to make decisions with her gut because her gut was finely tuned to make excellent decisions. So I think this is a lesson of practice your butt off so you can get there. And I think it's also a lesson of when you are in a position where you are getting really good at what you're doing, like, believe in yourself, have some confidence, because no one is going to put you in that position where you can excel. So I think what Tim Grover is trying to say is that rate yourself, like rate who you are, rate what you're doing, as long as you're good at it. Obviously, don't be cocky, don't have an ego, don't think, oh, I'm excellent at this when you're not. If you do have an ego, please listen to my last podcast, Ego is the Enemy, the deadly disease that we all suffer from, number 10, awesome podcast, I loved it, may I say so myself. Next chapter, number 1, when you're a cleaner, you have a dark side that refuses to be taught to be good. A cooler tries to fight his dark side and loses. A closer acknowledges his dark side but isn't able to control it. A cleaner harnesses his dark side into a raw, controlled power. That's awesome. That is awesome right there. So then Tim Grover says, fact, I've known a lot of very successful, highly driven individuals, and without exception, every single one has had a dark side. Their dominance and ability to go off the charts are all driven by something deep and intense. It fuels and sustains them. So that just made me think, oh, okay. I think I see what he's going. I think I understand where he's going here. And it's kind of maybe a burning desire to do what they do because of X, Y, or Z. So he goes on. He says, think about your classic superheroes. Spider-Man, Superman, Batman. They all fought for good but lived dark lives. And the everyday example that he uses, I think, is so awesome, is Tiger Woods. So Tiger Woods, now famous for his dark side, led him to be involved with a dozen or so women that weren't his wife. So shout out to Tiger Woods. But Tiger Woods was happily married, air quotes, and the guy had a bit of a dark side and was kind of obsessed with sex and women, and he had many affairs with lots of different women. So basically, before Tiger Woods had that affair, he was the ultimate savage. So if you want to see a guy in the zone, watch any video of Tiger Woods before his scandal. So before his scandal, the guy would walk onto the golf course as if the golf course was his kingdom, and he would go onto the golf course and just smash any other pro. So what's funny is that before his scandal, lots of different sports experts and golfing pundits would all talk about how mentally tough he was and why he was so excellent. And a lot of it had to do with the way that his father raised him. And apparently his father made it very difficult for him to become a golf player and really push his limits. But the point is that when Tiger Woods' scandal broke out, it was pretty obvious where Tiger Woods was getting his dark side from. It was pretty obvious why he was such a focused guy, because on the golf course, the guy was clearly going super hard and then would de-stress with some women on the weekend. So that's the reason why he was probably so on top of his game. It's because he had such a big chip on his shoulder and he was able to relax on the weekend. So I think what Tim Grover is trying to say here is that it's okay to have a chip on your shoulder. Of course, it is great to not cheat on your wife, but if you have a point to prove, then it's fine, as long as you're not hurting anybody. A lot of people have a chip on their shoulder, and especially the people that are great. So they've got a point to prove, and it's okay to have a point to prove. So that point to prove might be to your brother or your girlfriend. I mean, if your girlfriend needs to leave, or your boyfriend, or anyone, or your friend, or a teacher, someone that's doubted you. And it's okay to say to them, you know what, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to let it be known that I believed in myself, and I was able to smash whatever I said I was going to smash, especially when you said I couldn't. And he has another awesome example in this book. And he says, some years ago, I knew of a player who decided to challenge his ability to perform after he had a couple of beers. And this is in basketball, so he's in the NBA. He'd drink half a six-pack, so obviously that's 3 beers, at halftime, just so he could go back onto the court and tell the guy across from him, I just slammed down 3 beers and I'm still going to kick your ass. That is jokes. That's me talk. So over the season, he got a couple of his teammates in on the game to test who could drink the most beers at halftime and still play the best. One day they'd try 2 beers, another time 3 beers, 4 beers. They keep raising the bar until 2 of the guys were practically heading for the wrong bench. That's jokes. Now, I think the only time you could ever do that was if you are the CEO of a company, so no one can tell you off, or you're an athlete. I mean, if anyone went to work drunk and then was like, no, to their boss, no, I'm trying to push my limits to see if I can still do a good job whilst being drunk, any boss would be like, no, leave the building right now. But I think it's hilarious that they were like, okay, we're really going to push the envelope. I mean, it was a pretty mad way to do it. I mean, this is obviously super dumb, but I think the whole message is push the envelope when you can. I think there's much better ways to push the envelope, but all they want to do is just test their skills. So pretty weird execution, pretty awesome message. So yeah, shout out to those players. I would love to know who those players were, because that is just a rogue way of going about testing your skills. But anyways, next chapter. So when you're a cleaner, when everyone is hitting the in case of emergency button, they're all looking for you. This is the distinction he uses. A cooler waits for you to tell him the plan. A closer works on the plan, studies it, memorizes it, and knows exactly what he has to do. A cleaner doesn't want a specific plan. He wants every possible option available to him at all times. So again, I think the whole point is that the cleaner is the person who just gets shit done. You know, they just get the job done. And it's not about having a map. It's not about knowing exactly where you're going to go, but I think it's more about hustling and making it happen no matter what, like a zero options mentality. So the example he uses, which I relate to because he's an immigrant and so am I, even though I'm anglicized. He says, my parents are from India and they moved to London after they were married. I was born there. However, before they got to London, they moved to Chicago. On the day we arrived in Chicago to be reunited as a family, my dad got a cab at the airport, loaded up all our bags and possessions, and we headed toward the city. But a few miles from our destination, he suddenly told the cab to stop. Just two little boys who had no idea what was going on, and our dad making it sound as if we were on this great adventure, seeing the city on foot. But the truth was, he didn't have enough money to go any further by the cab. So we carried the bags and walked. He was a dad in a new country with two little boys and no money in his pocket. I know what Tim Grover is trying to say here is just figure it out. You know, figure it out. It doesn't matter what obstacle it is, what issues you're facing, just get the job done. So that is the mark of a true cleaner. Someone that's going to work, someone that's going to pass on, get the job done, blindly figure it out, even when you come from nothing. So they clearly had no money at all. But regardless, he went to the USA, went to the UK for a better life, and just made it work. And a lot of immigrants do that. So shout out to them. That is the definition of hustle. So yeah, he gives another lesson on taking responsibility. So Tim Grover explains that when you make a mistake, when you do something wrong, when you know that you have made the wrong call, it's up to you to say, you know what? I messed up. So this is what he says. He says, when a cleaner makes a mistake, he can look you in the eye and say, I messed up. That's it. Confident, simple, factual, no explanation. You made a mistake. Fine. Don't explain it to me for an hour. The truth is one sentence. I don't need a long story. You tell me you messed up, take responsibility. Now you've gained my trust. Cleaners will just get in your face and announce that they've messed up. They're completely desensitized to criticism and blame, and they expect you to be the same. So I think what he's trying to say here is that, look, you're human. You're going to make mistakes. Stuff's going to go wrong. You're going to drop the ball. You know, you're going to zig when you should have zagged. You're going to zag when you should have zigged. It's going to happen. But if you can own your mistake, your peers, your team, your contemporaries, whoever you're working with will have a little bit more respect for you, because they can relate, because they can say, you know what, I've been there. I've been the person that hasn't been able to make it happen when I was supposed to. So yeah, I think that's a seriously good lesson in responsibility. And this ties in with his lesson of humility. So Tim Grover is obviously a basketball coach for high-level players. And he talks about when one of Tim Grover's players has a bad game, he doesn't criticize the player, even when the player did something wrong. So let's say the player made a really bad foul, or the player made a bad decision, or messed up a shot, or mentally was just all over the place. Now, a lot of the way that a basketball game goes, or anything goes, isn't actually always the coach's fault, or isn't the player's fault, or isn't anybody's fault. But Tim Grover explains that when something goes wrong, he critiques himself first. He doesn't go to his player and go, bro, what are you doing? We worked on that. Or he takes responsibility for the mistake, even if it wasn't his mistake. And that is really, really, really difficult to do, because the natural thing when you make a mistake to do is to play the blame game. And even if you're a person that doesn't really play the blame game, it's difficult to just say, you know what, I messed up. And I think that the way that we are raised is that we are built to avoid mistake, avoid conflict, avoid stuff going wrong, and we chase getting stuff right. We chase the tick or doing well on a test. So taking complete ownership is difficult, and being able to love responsibility and take responsibility completely is difficult. So having the confidence to say that you screwed up will gain people's respect, Grover says, if you did it and you own it. So if you said it, you can stand by it, and not just mistakes, but the decisions and choices that you make. So you stand by those decisions and you make it count, and that is what your reputation is made of. So if I make a mistake, I say, you know what, I stood by that, and I understand why I stood by it, and I now see why it's wrong. You know, it's difficult to not respect that, because you're going to make a mistake in the future too. So I think that, again, it's a lesson in responsibility and a lesson in humility. And for young people, that's difficult to do. That's really difficult to do, you know, to just put your hand up and say, I failed that exam, not because the test is too hard, not because of this, but you know what? Just didn't work hard enough. And that's kind of annoying, because you go, oh man, like, why don't you work hard enough? But it's also kind of admirable that that person just was self-reflective and just said, I messed up. So again, Tim Grover's just dropping bombs. Next chapter, he says, when you're a cleaner, there's no such thing as a meaningless game. So I've had this argument so many times with friends about friendlies in matches, and some of my friends have theories that when a game is when the game is a friendly, players don't play as well. I think that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So Grover continues. He says, it doesn't matter if it's the first preseason event or a mid-season all-star game or the last game in a losing season. A cleaner shows up to play. So I really like that he put this in there, because it's the habit of trying to be excellent. And I don't understand why my friend has that theory that when it's a friendly, people don't care, because I think that's just a bad habit. Like, what do you just turn on excellence when it's a really difficult game? Because it appears that all the excellent people, when they are excellent all the time, they're not excellent when it counts. You know, they're excellent behind closed doors. They're excellent when people's watching, when 10 people are watching, 100 people are watching, 1,000. They don't care. They're always on point. They're always on job. They're always clutch. So I love that he put that point in there, because this theory that you turn it on when you want to is super difficult. I don't understand how anyone can just turn it on when they please, because I sure can't. So yeah, next chapter. When you're a cleaner, you trust very few people, and those you trust better never let you down. Coolers are afraid of the truth because they can't deal with it. Closers dig for the truth and get upset when it's not in their favor. Cleaners know when you're lying and wait for the truth to show itself. Knowing whatever it is, they'll handle it. Awesome point. So I think the whole point, what he's trying to explain here is that when you are a cleaner, when you are excellent, you don't deal in idealistic situations. You deal with the reality. The reality might be, I've broken my leg. The reality might be, our profits are down by 30%. Oh God, that must be horrible to hear. The reality might be 30% of the company's defected. But I think that they want to hear it rather than shy away from it, because that's the problem. That's the problem that actually matters. And quick tangent. So what's funny is I just did a small internship at a law firm. And it was actually, it was about going to court and whatnot. And the thing that surprised me the most of all was that sometimes people don't actually turn up to court at all, because they just don't want to, deal with the issue at hand. And there were loads of cases where both parties, i.e. the defendant or the claimant, weren't walking to the court because someone didn't want to deal with their problem, which is unbelievable. I don't understand how people can not turn up to court because they're just too afraid to deal with the truth. It's unbelievable. But Grover, moving forward. So Tim Grover says, the boss doesn't always need to be happy. Sometimes he needs an honest smack in the head. You want to be the most valuable guy in the boss's circle or the leader's circle. Be the one who looks the cleaner straight in the eye and tells him what everyone else is afraid to say. He might hate it and hate you for saying it, but a true cleaner knows when he's being bullshitted and when he's being set straight. And guaranteed, the next time he needs to know whom he can trust, he'll be looking for you. So I think that is a really, really good point, because what I think the most brilliant people want is to not have things sugar-coated. Please tell me the reality so that I can learn and get better and I can improve. And in the book, Tim Grover uses an example of Michael Jordan and Steve Kerr. Now, Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time, and Steve Kerr is he's now a coach. I think he's the coach of the Golden State Warriors. Please excuse me if he isn't, but they used to play together. And Steve Kerr didn't like the way that Michael Jordan said something to him. So Michael Jordan, he punched him in the face. He snuffed him, just slide. He was like, I'm going to slide you. So he literally hit him right there and then, right on the court. Because Steve Kerr was like, bro, you're being a knob. So Michael Jordan ended up hitting him. But Michael Jordan later apologized. But Steve Kerr was asked about it years later, and he said that it was one of the greatest things that happened to him because, one, he earned Michael Jordan's respect because he said, mate, you're being a knob. And two, they actually played together better because they had more mutual trust, and they actually understood that they would be able to communicate with each other better. So I think that it's so easy in life to be able to not communicate properly, i.e., with your boyfriend or girlfriend, or when your boyfriend upsets you, you don't say anything, or when your girlfriend really upsets you, you just let it slide. You don't say anything because you want to just keep the peace. But I think the whole message here is that no. You need to have people around you that don't care about keeping the peace, that only care about results, only care about, okay, how are we going to improve as people, and not sugarcoating. Sugarcoating is a great way to not evolve. So even though you might not want the truth, you need the truth. So Grover says, most of the time when we ask for advice, we don't want the truth. We want the answer we're seeking. Be open to advice that goes against what you want. And then he says, cleaner law. So for a person to be a cleaner, surround yourself with those who want you to succeed, who recognize what it takes to be successful. People who don't pursue their own dreams. People probably won't encourage you to pursue yours. They'll tell you every negative thing they tell themselves. So in my notes, the first thing I wrote was, that's very, very hard to do as a young person, as a young man, as a young woman. There's all these different pressures of learning about yourself. And then you've got pressures of making friends, and then you've got pressure of making the right friends. So, a young person can make friends, but then have the wrong friends. You can have the pressure of trying to maybe start a business, or the pressure of trying to become an athlete. And whilst you're trying to become an athlete, you've got your friends who just want to go to the pub and get drunk. And there's nothing wrong with going to the pub and getting drunk. But if you want to be an athlete, those are not the friends you need, But that's so difficult to do as a young man or a young woman. And I'm sure there are 30-year-olds who are still struggling with this, that have crap friends, but because of maybe insecurities or pressures or this or that, the other, they're still stuck in that trap. So I think it's super important that you do surround yourself with people that just uplift you and make you feel good, and don't make you feel insecure, because we've all played that game, maybe in high school, or maybe at uni, or maybe you're playing it now. We have that friend that isn't really your friend. So again, I think the whole message is just be careful who you surround yourself around, because they will shape you. They will really, really shape you. That phrase, if you sleep with dogs, you're going to come up with flies, I think is a pretty awesome one. And that's something that I'm still learning, still learning to make sure that all my friends are people that are just uplifting me and making me feel better, and people that I'm learning from. So yeah, I think, again, Tim Grover's just on a roll here. Quick drink break, because it's been like 35 minutes, son. H2O, baby. Okay, let's do it. I think this is the last chapter, so let's go ham on this. When you're a cleaner, you don't celebrate your achievements because you always want more. A cooler is first to arrive at the celebration and last to leave. A closer will make an appearance, then go out with his own crew. A cleaner just wants to get back to work. So Tim Grover says, there's always more work to do and more to prove. Always more to prove. Let everyone else celebrate. You're still not satisfied. You do it for that exquisite moment, that electrifying, powerful surge of satisfaction that everyone dreams about, but few ever get to experience. Yet the minute you experience it, it's already fading. A true cleaner is at his lowest soon after he reaches his highest. For 5 minutes, he's completely exhilarated. For the next 24 hours, he's relatively happy. And after that, what? He's back to work. So I think that is just awesome, because it's a paradox of celebrating your victory when you have worked so hard and just going back to work and not even giving a crap and not even caring about the monetary gain or the party or the Lamborghini or whatever it is. And two awesome examples right off the bat. So one that I think is just awesome is Serena Williams. So Serena Williams is, I don't know women's tennis, so I think she's the greatest female tennis player of all time. I'm not 100% sure. All I know is that she smashes everybody. I mean, she smashes Sharapova every Wimbledon. I mean, didn't Sharapova take steroids and she still couldn't beat my girl Serena? So, yeah. If you say Serena's on steroids, please turn this podcast off and never listen again. I love Serena Williams. Serena Williams is known that when she wins a Grand Slam, she gets back to work so quickly. She doesn't dwell on the celebration itself. And I think that it's admirable. Another awesome example, Tom Bilyeu. So Tom Bilyeu was the one of the founders of a nutrition company called Quest Nutrition. Now, if you're really into working out, you might have heard of a company called Quest Nutrition, who sell Quest bars. Now, I'm not going to go into what's so great about Quest bars, but they basically created bars that were nutritious and healthy. And his company grew pretty quickly, pretty big, pretty quickly. So, long story short, after he worked his butt off, they ended up exiting and sold the company for something like $1.4 billion. It was an obscene amount of money. So this guy has made it. I mean, I'm going to quickly search how much it was sold for. It was something that was just a disgusting amount of money. Quest Nutrition net worth. Damn, I can't find it. Okay, but yeah, it was definitely sold for around $1 billion. So yeah, how does Quest Nutrition craft a $1 billion corporate culture? So yeah, it was sold for something like $1 billion. Yeah. Now, the cool story here is that Tom Bilyeu is one of the co-founders, and he's also just an awesome human being and someone you should follow and learn from. And I definitely want to understand that man more and more because he's brilliant. But the cool thing is that, so his company was sold for $1 billion, yeah? And he was given all the money that he was given all the money that he was due as one of the shareholders, one of the founders. And he was gifted something like, I don't know, 250, 300 million US dollars, an obscene amount of money. So the amount of money where he wouldn't have to work again, the amount of money where you could buy 3 private jets and still feel cool. You still wouldn't be like, oh, I'm broke. Like, he was set for life, yeah? However, the point is that even after he had 400 million US dollars transferred into his bank account, the guy went into work the next day. Please let that sink in. Please let that sink in. So imagine if someone gave you 400 million US dollars and then you went into uni or you went to school or you went to work the next day. I don't know one human being on earth that would go to work the next day. He is nuts. And what made it even worse is that his wife was like, come on, let's go and celebrate. Let's go and have a good time. And you know what? Shout out to his wife, because that is advice that any other person would have taken. But Tom Bilyeu said, and I quote, no, I don't quote, but no, Tom Bilyeu said, I need to go in because I need to set the right example for my staff. If I take a day off now, my staff will know that I'm only in it for the money, and they won't know that I'm in it for the love of the game, and I'm here to make an impact. Boom. That's gold, bro. That is gold right there. I mean, he was given that amount of money and still he said, no, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna keep working. I'm gonna take the time out and I'm going to do what my duty is to do as the CEO. So He has a new company called Impact Theory, which is super awesome, and that's what he went to work on the next day. And he sets the standard of what a cleaner is about. So yeah, I mean, I think that story sums up pretty well what it takes to be someone of that caliber, because I don't know. No, I do know. I do not think I would have done that. I would not have done that. I would not have been able to go to work the next day knowing that I have $400 million in my bank account. I wouldn't, and even if I had gone to work, I wouldn't have been able to think straight. So that dude is a flipping inspiration. But yeah, end note from Tim Grover. The greatest battles that you will ever fight are with yourself, and you must always be your toughest opponent. Always demand more of yourself than others demand of you. Be honest with yourself, and you'll be able to meet every challenge with confidence and the deep belief that you are prepared for anything. Life can be complicated. The truth is not. Whatever drives you, let it take you where you want to be. Everything you want can be yours. Be a cleaner and go get after it. Be relentless. Done. Next. Now, I think that's like an awesome way to end the book, because he just hit you with that awesome speech, and then at the end of it, he said, "Move on to the next thing. Be excellent, but don't forget that being excellent is a process of being excellent for the rest of your life." So, yeah, I mean, that concludes what awesome traits that Oprah Winfrey and Mother Teresa and Ariana Huffington and Tom Bilyeu and Kobe and Jordan all have in common. They all have excellent qualities that I want to cultivate, and I want to learn, and I want to bring to the table. And no doubt you do too. This is sound like I said do. You do too. And especially if you're young and you're ambitious and you're starting to work, or you're entering a new phase of your life, a book like this is super applicable, because it makes you think, what do I want? What do I want to take me to the next level? So yeah, the book is awesome. The book is called Relentless by Tim Grover. Shout out to Tim Grover for breaking it down and bringing a book that I really wanted to read, because I want to understand why these excellent people are so excellent. So if you enjoyed this podcast, please, Asmita, please let me know what you enjoyed, what you didn't like, what you did like, what you agreed with, what you didn't agree with. I want to know. I know a lot of my listeners are between the age of 20 and like 35. So this is a book that would be perfect for you. So if you don't agree and you're in that age group, and you probably are, please let me know. Send me a message. Leave me some feedback on iTunes. I want to hear what you didn't like and what you did like. And if there was a lesson that you thought, oh man, that's a really good lesson, please let me know, because different things are going to resonate with different people. The thing that really hit me for some reason was Tiger Woods and having a dark side. And I remember when Tiger Woods messed up, and I think that's why I really was like, man, like he did have a chip on his shoulder. But again, different things might resonate with you. So please let me know what hit you like a ton of bricks, and maybe if it didn't, just let me know, please. I'd love to listen and learn. So yeah, this is DJ's Take, episode 11. God bless you for giving me 43 minutes of your life. I really appreciate it. And I will make sure that all the podcasts are of this standard. Make sure all the podcasts are awesome, so you're learning and listening and enjoying listening to my voice and learning something on the way. So yeah, you better have been educated, excited, and entertained all at the same flipping time, or I'm not doing this podcast any justice. But anyway, God bless you. Have an awesome week. Kill your week. Kill your Monday. Kill your Tuesday. Kill every day. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye, people.